Good morning. Hopefully, everybody can kind of see me and that you can all hear me. So, what I'm going to do is I am just going to upload PowerPoint. 1 second. So, welcome to Shenley Taste Today. So, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Miss Wiltshire. Can somebody please write in the chat if you can hear me? Or wave something. Awesome. That's fantastic. Super duper. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't talking to myself, because there would be nothing worse than me talking to myself and going, what's happening? So, it's lovely to see so many of you here. So, this is an introduction to A-level biology. Okay, and what we're going to do is going to go through how the course is set out, like what the components, and then we're going to look a little bit at some of the A-level stuff. So, I hope that you're all well, and hopefully we will see some of you in September. If you have any questions at any point, you can just write them in the chat. That will be fine. Or if you want, you can pop your hand up. I know some of you used Teams in the past, so you can pop your hand up on the hand app, and then you can unmute yourself. Right. So, in terms of the layout of the A-level, okay, there are going to be 3 papers, okay, and we sit those in year 13. Okay, this is different to how it's been in the past. In the past, there used to be end of year 12 exams as part of the AS. So, hello, somebody isn't on mute. Okay. Thank you very much. So, there is no longer an AS and an A2. There is just the A2 at the end of year 13. Okay, and what that means is that we don't have any AS exams at the end of year 12. Okay, so this means that marks from year 12 exams are not carried over into year 13. Okay, now what we do is we still use, okay, your topic test results, and we do mocks and things like that to determine your predicted grades for university. So there is lots of data that we use. It's just that it's not an external exam anymore. I hope that makes sense. Does anybody have any questions? No? So, in terms of your practical skills, okay, there is lots of opportunity to do practical, okay, and to develop your biology practical skills, okay, and some of that is actually questioned in your external exam. So approximately about, at least 15% of the marks across the 3 papers comes from experiments that they will have expected you to do. Now, you're going, what? Okay, there's experiments they expect us to do. Well, there are. Okay, there are 12 assessed experiments. Okay, and you will complete these over the 2 years. Okay, and they are internally assessed. So they are assessed by your class teacher, okay, as a practical. And what you will be given is you will be given a practical book, okay, that looks something like this. And inside this lab book, This is where you record all of your data, okay, for each of the assessed practicals. Now, this book stays in school, okay, it doesn't go home, because obviously we need to use it as evidence, okay, to know that you hit each of the standards, okay, or each of the assessment criteria points. Now, in terms of books, okay, we're really fortunate that everybody gets an electronic copy of the textbook, okay, with something called Caboodle. And Caboodle is really useful because it's got lots of other worksheets and bits in it that can help you. So there's other resources on Caboodle that are really useful. So it's not a case that you have to go out and buy it. It is online, but the textbook looks like this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you on the next page some textbooks that we recommend. Does anybody have any questions about practicals? Anything at the moment? Okay. So there are 3 books, okay, that, thank you, that can be really useful, okay. So A-level biology essential math skills, okay. This essentially goes through some of the math skills that you might need, okay, in biology, okay, because there is maths, okay, which is why maths is obviously recommended at a certain level for biology. So there are actually copies that are available, okay, for you guys to use and borrow, okay, but you might decide that you want to have your own copy. A head start to A-level biology, so this is just a brief overview, okay, of what happens in A-level biology, kind of like a revision guide of key concepts that you need, okay. And obviously you've got the textbook. Now this, the ISBN numbers for these books are available on, it's on a document that has been put into the file section of this area. I think it's on the website as well. So if you are interested in those books, you can have a look at that, okay. So both of those top books are CGP, and if you've used their revision guides in the past, you'll know how kind of like break down and bite size what they are explaining. Okay, it's really useful. So practicals, okay, are very different at Key Stage 5. Okay, and our aim is to make you guys become competent scientists. Okay, and there are a number of different assessment criteria that we will look at, okay, for you to become competent scientists. Okay, and so along with your A-level, you will get kind of like an assessment or a practical endorsement certificate as well. And if you've reached all the criteria for your assessments, your practicals, then you will get that as well. Okay, so hopefully some of these terms are on your screen. I was going to say on the board, but you know, virtual. Okay, you guys are familiar with. Okay, but we are going to continue to expand our understanding of these, okay, when you come up to A-level, Key Stage 5, okay? And obviously there is 10% maths, okay, in terms of math skills in the practicals, okay, but you will get help with this, okay? And obviously some of the things you might not have seen before, that's fine, okay, because we will go through all of those math skills that you need. So does anybody want to type in the chat or unmute yourself? Okay, what do these terms mean? So you've got hypothesis, null hypothesis, independent variable, dependent variable, and controlled variable. So a hypothesis is a type of prediction, yeah? Well done, Whitney. Yes, well done, yeah. Good. Okay, yep. So Marian's put a hypothesis is a testable statement. Okay, so yeah, so like Alex has said, it's kind of like a what you think the outcome will be. Yes, so a hypothesis is a testable statement. Okay. Control variable is something that you can change. Yeah. Oh, are you sure? Excellent. The independent variable doesn't depend on other factors in an experiment. Okay. So, yep, that's on the right lines. Yep, Macy. So a null hypothesis means there's no change in relationship between the variables. Yep, so you're saying that nothing's going to change. So dependent variable is something you measure and depends on other variables. Yep, so excellent, Minaj. Yep, so a null yes, Whitney. You don't have to put a question mark, but yes, you're correct. A null hypothesis is when you predict that there will be no change. What about controlled variables? Yep, Jacob. Yep, so a controlled variable is something that's standardized to make the test fair. Well done. Yep, remain the same. Good, Alex. Anything else for anybody? Okay, so what we're going to do is going to spend the rest of time at this session. We'll save some time at the end if you've got any questions. And we're going to look at gas exchange. Okay, so this is something that obviously you guys have looked at Key Stage 4. So what you guys need to know is that there are adaptations to gas exchange that allows an increase in body size. And then the small animal gas exchange gases across their general body surface. So that's what we're going to look at today. So hopefully by the end of this session, okay, you're going to understand what's meant by surface area to volume ratio. You're going to recall the anatomy of the respiratory system in mammals, understand how diffusion affects the size of organisms, and then think about why we don't have giant insects. There are a few that you can borrow, Marianne. I'm not sure if we've got some that you can order, but that's something I can obviously ask Dr. Chowski about. But there are some in school that you can borrow. So there are some in the department. There's also some in the sixth form resource centre in the library. So all living things take gases from their environment and they return gases to it. That's what gas exchange is. What else can you guys remember? If you want to unmute, you can do, or if not, you can just type in the chat. And maybe think about what happens in gas exchange. Yep, Gabriel, plants have stomata. What's happening in the stomata? High surface area to volume ratios are more efficient. Well done, Jacob. Yeah, fantastic. Yep, so we've adapted gas exchange surfaces. Super. Well done, Marianne. Excellent, Lisa. Yep. So gas exchange is obviously an animal when we exchange oxygen for carbon dioxide in the environment. Fantastic. Human gases travel through the, they go down the trachea. Yep, so move through those exchange surfaces by diffusion, most definitely. Very important. Well done, guys. Cool. So, organisms which respire. Fantastic, Jacob. Yep, so alveoli and villi increase our surface area. Super duper. Yep, so we diffuse into our capillaries. Well done. Yeah, they diffuse. Yeah, across the membrane. Well done. So organisms which respire aerobically, okay, they take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. We're all probably respiring predominantly aerobically right now, okay, because we're not doing any major physical exercise. Okay, so anaerobic respiration probably isn't happening. Plants, okay, like Gabriel said, okay, they have their stomata, okay, which are on the underside of the leaf, and they take in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen, okay, because obviously they photosynthesize. And lots of you have started to say some of those specialized surfaces that gas exchange occurs across. Okay, so well done, super duper. So animals, okay, oxygen goes in, carbon dioxide comes out. So on the screen, sorry guys. Okay, you've got an alveolus, okay, and you can see that oxygen is diffusing in or across into the bloodstream, and carbon dioxide is diffusing out. Okay, and any exchange of gases takes place via diffusion. Okay, would anybody like to remind me of the term of diffusion? Fantastic, Scarlett. Well done, yeah. Super. Yeah, so diffusion, moving from an area of high concentration to lower concentration. Yeah, across a concentration gradient. Well done, Alex, as well. So, obviously, this is where gas exchange is happening across the surface. So, what can you remember about this? So, hemoglobin is the oxygen carrier. Well done, lovely. What about the rate of gas exchange? What might that be dependent on? It does become oxyhemoglobin. Yep, well done. What might the amount of oxygen needed by an organism be determined by? Okay, so if we need more oxygen, yeah, our breathing rate will increase because that's the mechanical process of getting oxygen into our bloodstream. Of course it can. So what is the amount of oxygen needed by an organism going to be determined by? Yep, so activity levels, size, okay, if we think about activity levels, what could we link activity levels to? Their size, yep. So if they've got a high activity level, what's there going to be more happening? Not heart rate necessarily, but good. Go. Yeah, how much they're respiring. Yeah. Yep, so remember, if they've got a really high activity level, okay, they're going to need more energy, which means that they're going to have a higher level of respiration. Excellent. Well done. Super duper. Well done to everybody that contributed as well. Okay, so the amount of oxygen needed by an organism is going to be determined by the amount of living cells. Okay, so like you guys said, the size, and the rate they need to respire. So requirements of oxygen is related to the volume of the organism and the rate depends on the surface area. Yep, so if they're respiring anaerobically, then they'll still need more oxygen. So we'll pay the oxygen back, well done. Yeah, good. Okay, so which of these organisms has the highest volume? D5. Yeah. Well done, guys. Yes, so the elephant. Okay. Yep. I think this is really of them coming through. Cool. Well done. Fantastic, guys. Which has the most surface area available for gas exchange then? The one on the left? Yep, so the one that's not an elephant. Maybe you know what that is. Might have seen it before. Yeah. It is an amoeba. Yeah, well done for everybody that wrote that. It's an amoeba. Yeah, well done. So the amoeba has the most surface available for gas exchange. So if we were going to calculate the volume and surface area for two organisms, what would we need to do? So if you type in what you need to do to calculate the volume and then the surface area. Don't worry about numbers at this point. So thinking to maths, or you've done this at GCSE, how would you calculate the volume of an organism and how would you calculate the surface area? You're on the right line. That will give you the ratio, really. Okay. That will give you the ratio of kind of like surface area to volume ratio. How to calculate them? Yep, so volume is length times width times height. Yep, well done. Fantastic. What could you do for surface area? What could you imagine that these objects are like? Yep, finding. Okay, right. So we'll pretty confident on volume. Okay. But to calculate the surface area, you imagine that they're kind of like cubes. Okay? And so you do the sum of the 6 faces equals 2 buckets times the length times width, and the width times depth, and then width times depth. Okay? So what I'm going to give you guys a task to do is I would like you to calculate the surface area and volume of these two animals. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of minutes, maybe 3 minutes. Hopefully you guys got a calculator, or you can pull up the calculator app or use your phone. So if you're on your phone, that might be a little bit more difficult. You might have a calculator lying around somewhere.
That's really good. I literally pressed.
Right. For those that have written elephant as 0.04, are you sure you've written the right animal there? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So neighbor volume is 0.04. Okay. Well done. Yep. Well done, Jacob, as well. Yep. So the amoeba's surface area is 0.76 millimeters. What though? It's not going to be just millimeters. Well done, Maduri, as well. Yep. Volume for the elephants 33. Fantastic, guys. Maybe we get 82.5 for the surface area of the elephant. Anybody else get anything different? Yep, so surface area is going to be millimeters squared. Well done, Maduri. Yep, Jacob. One sec. Okay, well done, everybody that's worked something out. Okay, so maybe we need a little bit more time maybe to work out the surface area, or are you all good to move on? I'm going to take the pause. It's good to move on. So, hopefully, thank you, Marion. Hopefully, you guys have got the amoeba, okay, with a volume of 0.04 millimeters cubed. Oh, squared, sorry. I can't read what something called. And surface area of 0.76 millimeters squared. Okay, and the elephant has a volume of 33 meters squared and a surface area of 65.9 meters squared. Okay, now those are two equations, okay, that you do have to learn, but we practice them, okay? There's lots and lots of practice that happens. So, the small organism, okay, like an amoeba, has a very high surface area to volume ratio, okay? And so small organisms get all of their oxygen, okay, that they need via diffusion, okay? Large organisms, on the other hand, are a little bit more tricky, okay, because their surface area to volume ratio is much smaller. So the external surface area isn't large enough for diffusion to occur, okay? It doesn't happen rapidly enough to supply oxygen to all of the cells, okay, or to enough oxygen to all of the cells quickly. Okay, the ones on the surface, hey, that's fine. Okay, but the ones in the middle of your body are a little bit more challenging. So, what we've done, okay, is organisms have adapted extra surfaces, okay, that's specifically designed for gas exchange. So, for example, our human lung. Okay, so how are the lungs adapted for gas exchange? Why are they good at gas exchange? Again, this is knowledge from GCSE. Okay, so we've got a large surface area, well done. High surface area, and moist. Lots of tiny alveoli to increase that surface area to volume ratio. Moist surface to dissolve gases, fantastic. Yep, so lots of surface area. So in terms of obviously contracting and relaxing, so the lungs obviously do, but that's down to the diaphragm that moves up and down. Okay, so we'll look at this. It's also to do with gas pressure and increasing and decreasing the gas pressure in the thoracic cavity. Okay, that obviously causes gases to move in and out. Okay, under pressure. In the walls, yep, alveoli have a really good blood supply. The capillaries nearby to keep a concentration gradient high, fantastic. Very short diffusion pathway, yep, super duper. I think we've covered them all. Yeah, so we've said large surface area. We've said that they're as thin as possible, which obviously helps provide a high gas gradient for greater diffusion. Okay, and they often have transport systems that take gases to and from the gas exchange site. So, like we said, capillaries, there's lots of blood vessels around there, so that the oxygen can be taken straight away, very quickly. Okay, to where it needs to go. Capillaries, yep, they're only one cell site. Yep, fantastic. So, there is a problem, okay? And actually, we've done pretty good at overcoming that problem, is that cells need to be exposed to air in order for the oxygen to diffuse into the organism. So, as terrestrial organisms, okay, our bodies are made of a high percentage of water, okay, and that's how we've overcome this issue, okay, because somebody, I think it might be Marion, said about obviously the gases dissolve, okay, somebody else said that it's nice and moist in our lungs, okay, that allows the gases to diffuse, to dissolve, allows the diffusion to occur more easily. So when living cells are exposed to the air, okay, water molecules evaporate and the cell dehydrates, okay, so that's a problem, okay, but obviously we rehydrate ourselves, okay, animals hydrate themselves to overcome that issue. So we, as humans, have gas exchange surfaces inside our body, okay, and they're inside to reduce water loss, okay. So we have a mechanism to allow air to come into our body, okay, and that then allows the air to come into contact with the exchange surface. We've overcome this issue of becoming cells becoming dehydrated, okay, and we've got a waterproof coating on the outside of the body. Lots of animals have this as well, and our breathing system, as a result, allows a high rate of exchange of gases. Now, not all organisms have lungs, okay? Obviously, amphibians do, they have a specialised lung. Birds do, mammals do, okay? But insects don't. Now, this is the biggest insect that is alive at the moment, okay? So it's probably the size of kind of your palm. Now, we don't have giant insects, okay, at the moment. And the reason why, can anybody recall? Anybody know why we might not have giant insects? How does gas exchange, let me rephrase my question. How does gas exchange occur in insects? You might have covered this briefly in GCSE. Partially through their skin, yeah. Anybody know, maybe more specific? Okay. So, there are tubes called trachea. I know that is very similar to the trachea. Well done. Yeah, within the tracheal system. Well done, guys. Yeah, super. Okay, and what those trachea or tracheals do is they connect the internal physiology, so basically inside of the insect, okay, to the external atmosphere. Okay, and this essentially allows for air to be transported to every single tissue. So on the diagram, you can see that you've got these tracheas, okay, that exit to the outside, and then the gas exchange occurs. So gases go in, okay, and then from there they can diffuse to all the different tissues, okay, inside the insect. So why are there no longer any giant insects? Okay. Mm-hmm. It's okay. I know what you mean. That's fine. And typing quickly as well is like really tricky to spell everything right too. Because you're like, right, want to get it right written. Okay. But yeah. So well done, yeah. So there is less oxygen on Earth now. What else has happened? Yep, so if they were bigger, their volume to surface area ratio would be too low. Yep. Yep, good, well done. Yeah. Fantastic. These are really good comments, guys. Okay, well done. I thought it was going to be cake. Somebody keeps on muting themselves. Just be aware. Obviously, if you want to unmute yourself and talk, that's fine. Okay. What's happened to the amount of oxygen? No, not the amount of oxygen, the amount of water vapor. What we said needs most, think about what an adaptation of our gas exchange system. What's happened to the amount of water vapor? Thinking maybe to chemistry and the history of the atmosphere. Can think back many years. Okay. What was the water vapor? It did condense into the oceans, but the atmosphere, okay, had a lot more water vapor in it, okay, which meant that A, there was more oxygen, B, there was more water vapor, which meant that it was that moist area, okay, was already there. It wasn't, the atmosphere wasn't as dry essentially as it is now. Okay. Right. So we do know that there are fossil records showing that there was a very large influx. Okay, but unfortunately, okay, our atmosphere just can't support them today. Now, does anybody have any questions? Can I your next session starts at 10, maybe? I'm not sure. Does anybody have any questions? If you want to write them in the chat, or you can unmute yourselves, put your hands up. So the example is AQA. So I would probably suggest, and what you could do is download the specification, have a look at that if you're thinking of doing AQA. Okay, I would suggest that with any example, with any EA, once you know that you're going to that school. Okay, because the examiners can't ask you anything that is outside of the specification. So that specification is so important to look at. Okay. I really like Whitney's biochemistry topic. Okay, because I think it underpins everything for biology. So, in terms of topics that you'll cover, so essentially we cover what used to be the old AS topics in year 12. So we cover biological molecules, which is biochemistry, which is really fun. Then we look at cells in year 12. We look at exchange substances with the environment, so that's gas exchange, the heart, exchange in plants, and we look at genetic information variation relationships. So we look at DNA, genes and protein synthesis. We look at genetic diversity and biodiversity in year 12. That lays the groundwork. And then in year 13, we look at energy transfers in and between organisms. We look at photosynthesis, we look at respiration, we look at how organisms respond to the environment. So we look at nerve impulses. We look at some genetics. So we do some. We look at genetics, and we look at control of gene expression, which is really interesting. Okay, because we look at something called epigenetics. So there is some transition work. I'm not sure if it's aside from the booklet on Pixel. I think it's going to be emailed out to you guys, but I will double check with Dr. Wachowski, okay, what the transition work is, okay, and then I will put a message in the kind of in this group so you guys can know. So dissections that we do at A level. So we do quite a few. We do a heart, that is a required practical. We also do a fish gill. We can sometimes do the eye. So there are quite a few different ones that we do. Did I miss anybody else's questions? I will put this PowerPoint on Teams with me, don't worry. Also, this is being recorded, so if you need to watch anything back, it will be there anyway. Okay, and this is private, put it up later. Okay, I think they're going on the school website. You're welcome. Has anybody else got any questions? If you have any questions, you can ask them.
Oh yeah.
Oh, hello.
Hi. When would our exams be for biology?
So you will have exams at the end of year 13. Okay. But there will be like smaller exams and mocks in year 12 as well.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. You're all welcome, guys. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, and I look forward to seeing some of you in September. All right, guys, thank you. Have a good day too. Thank you, everybody. You're welcome. Okay, Whitney. I hope that you get it unfrozen quite quickly and that it sorts itself out. Bye, Nathan. Bye. Right, does anybody else have any questions? If you don't, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the call, okay? Are you all right? Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the call, okay?